Hey beautiful peoples, welcome back to my YouTube channel Binge Chronicle. So without wasting any time, let's begin. Today we are going to take a look into the Conjuring franchise, which is also the part of the Conjuring Universe. If you don't know about the Conjuring Universe, then you have to wait till the end of this video. The Conjuring franchise have 3 chapters: The Conjuring 2, and The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, which are one of the most successful horror movies ever, inspired by the real-life case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren, 2 famous paranormal investigators. From haunted houses to demonic possessions, these movies explore true supernatural events that will make you question reality itself. Today, we're going back to where it all began. It's the movie that gave birth to the Conjuring Universe. Annabelle's origin is also introduced with the audience first time in The Conjuring Chapter 1. The movie begins with a group of young nurses explaining how they were haunted by a creepy-looking porcelain doll named Annabelle. They thought a spirit of a little girl named Annabelle Higgins was inside it. But in reality, a demonic entity was manipulating them. The doll would move on its own, write disturbing messages like "help me," and terrorize them at night. The Warrens reveal that Annabelle is not possessed, but serves as a conduit for a demonic entity. Ed and Lorraine take the doll from the nurses and lock it inside their artifact room, sealing it in a sacred glass case to contain its evil. If you are interested to know about the Annabelle origin, then you have to watch Annabelle franchise. Let's back to The Conjuring Chapter 1. So, what happens when a family moves into their dream home, only to find that it's already occupied by something sinister? Welcome to The Conjuring, the terrifying horror masterpiece. Tonight, we're unraveling the spine-chilling true story behind this iconic film. So turn off the lights, grab a blanket, and let's dive into the Perron family's nightmare. The Conjuring takes us to 1971, when the Perron family, Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 daughters, move into an isolated farmhouse in Harrisville. At first glance, the house seems like the perfect place to start over, but it doesn't take long before things start to go horribly wrong. Clocks stop at exactly 3:07 a.m. Birds slam into the windows. As the paranormal activity escalates, the family turns to Ed and Lorraine Warren, 2 renowned paranormal investigators, for help. What they discover is bone-chilling. And then there's the smell of rotting flesh, followed by unexplainable bruises on Carolyn's body. The house is haunted by the vengeful spirit of Bathsheba, a witch who cursed the land centuries ago. Bathsheba's goal? To torment and possess the Perron family, starting with the mother Carolyn. The Warrens must race against time to uncover the dark history of the house and perform an exorcism before Bathsheba succeeds in claiming another soul. What makes this movie so effective? If you care about the Perrons, they're not just victims, they're a family fighting to protect each other. Knowing that the events in the movie are inspired by real-life experiences makes the terror hit even harder. It's not just a story. It's a nightmare that happened to real people. Ed and Lorraine Warren's role played by Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson brilliantly. Unlike many horror movies, this isn't just about the scares. The Warrens' faith, compassion, and love for each other add depth to the story, making it as emotional as it is terrifying. While The Conjuring is a near-perfect horror film, there are a couple of minor critiques. The movie takes its time setting up the scares, which some might find a bit slow in the first act. However, this build-up pays off in spades later. One scene that stands out is the famous hide and clap game, when Carolyn went into the basement, following the clapping sound. The tension is almost unbearable, and just as she lights a match, 2 ghostly hands clap next to her face, plunging her into darkness. This scene is a masterclass. I'm giving it a solid 5 out of 5. Whether you're a die-hard horror fan or someone who just dipping their toes into horror movies, this is a movie which is worth to watch. It's scary, emotional, and absolutely unforgettable. But what do you think? Did The Conjuring leave you sleeping with the lights on? What's your favorite scene? And how does it compare to other movies in the Conjuring universe? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below. The next is The Conjuring Chapter 2. Today we're visiting The Conjuring 2. So grab your popcorns and let's break down this paranormal nightmare. What happens when the world's most famous paranormal investigators are called to face one of the most dangerous cases? A house haunted by a vengeful spirit, a family gripped by fear, and a demon hiding in plain sight. This is The Conjuring 2. Today, we're diving into one of the most terrifying films of the Conjuring universe. It might just keep you awake tonight. Ready? Let's begin. It begins with Ed and Lorraine Warren investigating the infamous Amityville horror case in New York, setting up the terrifying events of the film. This case is based on the real-life Amityville horror case 1974, where Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family, claiming that demonic voices told him to do it. The Lutz family, who later moved into the house, experienced terrifying supernatural events and fled after only 28 days. During the investigation, Lorraine enters a deep trance while trying to connect with the spirits in the house. She experiences visions of the night of the murders and sees through the killer's eyes, reliving the horror. Suddenly, she sees a demonic nun figure, Valak, standing behind her, hinting at the true evil that will haunt them later. It's 1977. Meet the Hodgson family, a single mother, Peggy, and her 4 children, who were living in a council house in Enfield, England. Life is tough but manageable, until strange things begin to happen. One of the creepiest moments in The Conjuring 2 involves Billy Hodgson, the youngest son in the haunted Hodgson family, and his toy fire truck. The scene is a perfect example of how the film builds tension using small everyday objects to create pure terror. Billy, who has a speech impediment, wakes up in the middle of the night to get some water. As he walks through the dimly lit house, everything is eerily silent, a perfect setup for something terrifying. Billy entered in the kitchen room and grabbed a glass of water. After that, he noticed the seesaw from the window. At first, it's completely still, but suddenly one side lifts up and slowly lowers down, like an invisible force is sitting on it. The way it moves is unnatural, making it clear that something unseen is playing on it. When Billy going back to his room, his foot got stumped into his toy truck. Billy picks up the fire truck and places it back inside the tent, making sure it stays still. As soon as he turns away, the truck rolls out again, this time, slowly and deliberately. At this moment, Billy realizes something is very wrong. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls his name from the darkness inside the tent. A deep, raspy voice whispers, "My house!" Billy is frozen with fear, staring into the pitch-black tent. He doesn't see anything inside, but we as the audience feel the presence of something terrifying. So it's late at night and Janet, unable to sleep, while she watching TV, it has turned to static on its own. She gets up, slowly approaches the TV, and tries to fix the signal by adjusting the dial. As Janet stands in front of the screen, the TV briefly flickers back to normal, but something horrifying happens. For a split second, the reflection in the screen is not just Janet. There was someone who was sitting on the chair behind her. She quickly turns around in fear, but no one was there. After the chair moves and Bill Wilkins' ghost appears, Janet panics and dashes up the stairs, breathing heavily. She doesn't stop to look back. She just wants to get away from whatever is in the living room. As soon as she reaches her room, she slams the door shut, jumps onto her bed, and wraps herself in a blanket, trembling with fear. Her heart is pounding, and she struggles to breathe, trying to convince herself that it was just her imagination. Suddenly, there's a faint creaking sound in the room. Janet screams in terror as an invisible force rips the blanket off her bed. Remember the Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal investigators which we met in the first movie. They traveled to England to help the Hodgson family. The house isn't just haunted by a restless spirit. Something far more sinister is pulling the strings. Valak, the demon nun we've all come to fear. If you don't know who is Valak, then you have to watch the Nun franchise. Warrens must unravel the mystery, confront their own fears, and battle a malevolent force determined to destroy everyone in its path. Furniture moves on its own. Knocks and bangs echo through the house. And 11-year-old Janet begins speaking in a demonic voice, claiming to be possessed by the spirit of an old man named Bill Wilkins. The haunting escalates quickly, turning their peaceful home into a living nightmare. So, what makes The Conjuring 2 a standout in the horror genre? Here are a few reasons. The creaking floors, shadowy hallways, and sudden scares keep you glued to your seat. The bond between Ed and Lorraine Warren, as well as their compassion for the Hodgson family, gives the movie a heart. The movie draws from the real-life Enfield poltergeist case, adding an extra layer of fear. whether or not you believe the events happened exactly as shown. The thought that they could have is enough to send chills down your spine. But even a movie as great as The Conjuring 2 isn't without its flaws. At over 2 hours, some viewers may find the pacing a bit slow in parts, especially during the build-up. Let's talk about that scene, the one where Lorraine comes face to face with Valak. The shadow slowly moves across the room, aligning with the painting of the demon nun. Just when you think you can breathe, the shadow lunges forward, and Valak attacks. This scene is a masterclass in building tension. I'm giving The Conjuring 2 a solid 4.5 out of 5. It's a movie that reminds us why we love horror, for the thrill, the emotion, and the stories that make us believe in the unseen. In the end, The Conjuring 2 isn't just about ghosts or demons. It's about courage, love, and the power of belief. It's a story that stays with you. But now I want to hear from you. Did The Conjuring 2 terrify you? What's your favorite scene? And do you think Valak is the scariest villain in the Conjuring universe? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The next is The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, based on the terrifying true story. Imagine a murder trial where the defense is a demonic possession, a young boy, a cursed family, and a chilling court case that defies belief. This isn't just a ghost story, it's the first time in US history where the devil was used as a defense in court. Welcome to The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. If you think you've seen it all, think again, because this time, evil steps into the courtroom. Today, we're tackling the third chapter in the Conjuring saga, The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It. This movie took the Warrens out of the haunted house and into the legal system, delivering a fresh take on the horror we've come to know and fear. If you're ready for possession, curses, and a case that shocked an entire town, let's dive in. In 1981, it all begins with the Glatzel family, who are trying to settle into their new home in Connecticut. But peace is short-lived. 11-year-old David Glatzel starts experiencing terrifying visions, a dark entity haunting his every step. When his behavior becomes increasingly erratic, the family calls in paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens discover that David is possessed by a demonic force. In one of the most intense exorcism scenes in the franchise, the demon is seemingly expelled, but not without a price. In a desperate attempt to save David, his sister's boyfriend, Anne, challenges the demon to take him instead. Anne's life spirals out of control. He begins seeing dark visions, hears voices, and one fateful day, he stabs his landlord to death. Anne claims he has no memory of the crime, insisting that he was possessed when it happened. And thus, the famous Devil Made Me Do It trial begins. The Glatzel family has just moved into their new home and are unpacking their belongings. Young David Glatzel, the 11-year-old boy who later becomes possessed, wanders into a bedroom and discovers an old waterbed left behind by the previous owners. Like any curious child, David climbs onto the waterbed and starts bouncing on it, enjoying the way the water inside moves. As David lays back to relax, the water inside the bed shifts unnaturally. He notices a bulge moving under the surface, as if something is swimming inside the mattress. Confused, David touches the bed, pressing down where he saw the movement. Suddenly, a horrifying ghostly face presses up from inside the waterbed, staring at David from beneath the thin layer of plastic. David gasps in terror, his eyes widening as the face suddenly lunges toward him. Before he can react, a pair of ghostly hands burst through the bed and grab him. He is forcefully dragged down, as if being pulled into the waterbed by an unseen demonic force. He screams and thrashes, desperately trying to escape. David scrambles away, panting in fear, as his family rushes into the room to see what happened. But when they check, there's nothing inside the bed. Ed and Lorraine join a detective in searching for the body of Jessica Louise Strong, a missing girl who was possibly involved in satanic rituals. The police suspect that Jessica's murder is connected to the occult curse that is plaguing Ann Johnson. Lorraine uses her psychic abilities to track down the body, leading them into a dark, dense forest. As they move deeper into the woods, Lorraine begins to experience a vision of what happened. She suddenly enters a trance-like state, and time shifts around her. She is now inside the night of the murder. Lorraine sees Jessica standing at the edge of a cliff under the influence of the occult curse. Jessica, possessed by a demonic force, brutally stabs her friend in a frenzied attack. Then she turns toward Lorraine, her face distorted with an unnatural demonic expression. Jessica suddenly runs off and leaps off the cliff. Still in her trance, Lorraine starts running through the forest. Retracing Jessica's final steps, she moves at an unnatural speed, almost as if being pulled by an unseen force. Ed realizes something is wrong and chases after her, fearing she is in danger, a case that would test the Warrens' faith, push Lorraine's psychic abilities to the limit, and uncover a sinister cult who is arranging the chaos. This isn't just about haunting, it's about unraveling a web of curses, rituals, and the lengths people will go to for power. Unlike the previous Conjuring films, this isn't confined to a haunted house. The mix of courtroom drama, investigation, and supernatural horror gives it a fresh, engaging twist. So, what makes The Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It different from its predecessors? Unlike the previous Conjuring films, this isn't confined to a haunted house. The mix of courtroom drama, investigation, and supernatural horror gives it a fresh, engaging twist. This case is one of the Warrens' most infamous investigations, and the fact that it's based on true events adds an extra layer of terror. Lorraine Warren's psychic connection takes center stage, showing us her visions, the sacrifices she makes, and the toll it takes on her. The human antagonist working with demonic forces brings a new kind of evil to the story. It's not just about ghosts and spirits this time. It's about someone willingly summoning them. While The Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do, it is a solid entry in the series, it's not without its flaws. Some fans might find the shift from haunted house horror to investigative thriller less terrifying. It leans more into suspense than outright scares. While the concept of a human villain is intriguing, her motivations feel underdeveloped, leaving us wanting more depth to her character. Let's talk about the waterbed scene. When young David climbs onto the bed, we all know something's about to go horribly wrong. The tension builds as the water ripples, and suddenly a hand bursts through the mattress, pulling him down. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It's suspenseful, emotional, and filled with enough twists and turns to keep you on edge. While it may not have the same intensity of scares, but it is worth the watch. But now I want to hear from you. What did you think of The Conjuring 3? Was it as terrifying as the first two? Do you think Anne's story was as compelling as the haunted house cases? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And that wraps up our review of the Conjuring trilogy. From haunted houses to real-life demonic cases, these films have cemented their place in horror history. But what do you think? Which Conjuring movie scared you the most? Let me know in the comments. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video about the Conjuring Universe, to know about it, just click on the link in the description. If you are also interested to learn about the Annabelle doll history, then you can know about it by clicking on the link, which is also given in the description. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell so you never miss our next exciting review. I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions, so drop a comment below. And if you found this interesting, be sure to share it with your friends.